Are you frustrated by the disconnect between sales and marketing? If you've watched some of the videos on my channel, you know that I certainly am. Sometimes you may notice that your sales team is struggling to actually get noticed, even though they've got access to all the great content that your marketing team is working with. How can you align those two teams, that revenue team of yours, to get the most out of your marketing efforts? Well, customers are getting savvier all the time, and if you're not using sales enablement, well, let's join us today. Hey everyone, I'm Ian Campbell. I'm CEO of Mission Suite. Before we jump into today's video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you're notified anytime that we post new videos. So, I've talked about this before. I've been in marketing and consulting for a long time, and I've been fortunate to have a relatively decent amount of success. As a result, I always have to stay on top of new innovations in existing B2B sales and marketing methodologies and new techniques that can help my business and my clients' businesses grow. That being said, I want to talk about sales enablement today. Sales enablement, certainly not a new technique. It's not a new system. It's not a new software. But as we rely on our software and those systems more, it becomes more and more beneficial to organize and share information between your marketing team and your sales team. Talked about this before. These are two sides of the revenue equation, right? They have to be working together. So in the late 90s, a couple guys, a brand manager and a telecom consultant, both saw a need across a bunch of different industries for a better way to strategize, a better way to align messages, especially in B2B sales. And soon after, they started their own agency, which specialized in sales enablement. The idea was to make salespeople more effective and to highlight a value proposition with directed content. Well, that really caught on. So today, we're going to talk a little bit more about what sales enablement is, what it's not, and most importantly, how you can set it up and make it work for you. So just what is sales enablement? Well, chances are you've at least heard the term before, but at its very core, sales enablement is really just what it sounds like. It's a process by which a company or organization uses the information that their marketing team collects and the content that they're able to develop as a result of it to arm their sales team with information to create compelling messages and make every interaction with a customer more memorable and more meaningful. In its most effective iteration, sales enablement can turn a salesperson into a trusted advisor. As you learn more about your clients, their pain points, and where they struggle, you can create content that will not just sell, but will also answer questions and drive that business to you. It's not a secret that data drives marketing and sales, right? Sales enablement is designed to be a coordinated effort by sales and marketing to create more engaging content, to build customer relationships, to refine your sales process, and of course, to make the entire journey better for your team and, more importantly, your customers. Now, this doesn't mean that you can just collect any and all kinds of information and throw it all at your sales team hoping for the best, right? In fact, really it's just the opposite. Using a CRM, something like Mission Suite, of course, an organization can very intentionally collect data about their market, about their customers, and about prospective customers to give the sales team access to highly cultivated and valuable information so that they can best engage with and close sales most efficiently. Not only is this going to be a benefit to your company, but this can also streamline the process for your client, and it'll give you an edge over your competitors. Imagine if your sales team went in knowing what 90% of the types of businesses that you're working with are struggling with a specific solution for it, right? You're going to get a lot more people that are going to actually pay attention to you. I know this might sound like a lot of work, but it doesn't have to be. If you're mindful and intentional in approaching your sales, it can actually work out really well for you. Before you can really set this into motion, though, you should get all of your company's stakeholders into the same room and talk about the what and the how. Your sales team can be invaluable as you do that, right? I've said this a number of times that the only way to align sales and marketing to get those two sides of that coin working together is to get them to sit down with one another and get them all talking. You'll need buy-in from everyone, so a meeting to discuss this process should always be the kickoff to any sort of campaign to address this. Sales enablement is such a highly collaborative effort, so have your teams think about what kind of data that they should be collecting and then build that into your CRM. Once you have some of that data, well, maybe you're going to need other assets like media kits, blogs, articles to use in the sales process. When your team and your marketing team specifically can create this kind of content, you can also anticipate the next steps for your client, making your sales team that much more effective. Now, sales enablement sounds fantastic, but I also want to make sure that as we're talking about this, we're very clear on what sales enablement is not. Sales enablement is not just piling up a bunch of data and statistics and handing it over to your sales team. You actually have to turn that into usable information. This is a tool that's designed to help your sales team, and it needs to be relevant, needs to be easy to use. If it's not easy, well, no one's going to use it, right? Sales enablement is also not just one team's job. It's a coordinated effort between sales, marketing, and leadership that's going to need to be tweaked. It's going to need to be reworked and revamped as you learn more and more about your customers and about the buyer's journey. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that in just a little while as well. Now, of course, sales enablement is also not the sales team telling marketers what to do and what content to produce, right? I've seen that happen more than my fair share of times, and it just doesn't work out well. As the sales team works, the data becomes clear to the marketing team, and then it's up to the marketing team to work with the sales team to create materials and to develop the most relevant messages. Now, speaking of collaboration and responsibility, just who is responsible for sales enablement? Well, now that you have everyone in the same room, you need to make sure that there's a clear understanding of the who, why, what, and how of sales enablement. When you think about it, good marketing drives sales, and marketing needs good data and good insights to create compelling messages. Neither of these two teams can actually function really effectively if they don't work together. At least they can't do it to their highest capacity. One team is going to feed the other, right? Sales feeds marketing, marketing feeds sales. This functional relationship is the bedrock to making sales enablement work, and both teams are going to have to own this sales enablement process. Find somebody, a representative from both teams, and make sure that they're able to work together. Marketing is always going to be tasked with creating the materials that the sales team is going to need. That's pretty obvious. These materials could be things like sales presentations, product guides, one-sheets, campaigns, marketing campaigns, marketing content, social media posts, telephone scripts, name it. They have to have access to that sales information and own their piece here. Otherwise, it's all going to fall apart because, frankly, sales just isn't as good at doing that as marketing is. And I say that also as a longtime sales guy. Additionally, the marketing team is going to have to own the process and the CRM and the software piece. If you're going to start sales enablement in your company, have everyone in the same room because you're all going to need to discuss the logistics and the tools. In turn, the sales team needs to own their piece as well. They need to be open to the process. They need to use the materials that they have. And, of course, they need to feel safe providing the marketing team with data and insight. This is not a time for anybody to get sensitive. No one else in the company is going to know what the sales team knows. They're the ones that are dealing directly with new customers. If they can feed this data back to the marketing team, well, now you can update materials, you can create better materials, and do all sorts of other things with that information. So it really is a codependent relationship. Again, two sides of the same coin. These two things cannot and will not function correctly without one another. The sales team needs marketing's help, and marketing needs this data that the sales team generates. Marketing team needs the sales team's help. Many organizations would count sales as probably one of the most important departments. And since they are the most customer-facing and they're the ones that really drive revenue, they need the marketing team to interpret that information and then feed them helpful information and content to help them actually get their job done. And this is my favorite part of any conversation about sales enablement, and that is the role of sales enablement software. The most critical piece of this process is probably going to be the software that you're using, right? This is how marketing and sales are going to know what the other one is doing, and they're going to be able to transfer information back and forth. There's no chance that you can manage a process like this and give everyone access to it with something like an Excel spreadsheet. Of course, Excel is great for what it is. It's just not made to manage things like this. You're going to need a CRM that can actually help you collect, help you sort, and use the data that you're gathering to actually develop your sales enablement processes. Mission Suite obviously has helped plenty of organizations realize that power of all this information, right? I've seen it time and time again with clients, and it's always exciting for me to do so. Of course, we also help with all the automation, all the segmenting, personalization, all the things that come along with that. But at the end of the day, again, you need to have a system put in place to manage this sales enablement. Your CRM is going to need some time to work. And honestly, this is the only drawback to using a CRM, is that you have to set up your data points, let it know who you're targeting, organize your segments, and then give it a chance to actually work for you, right? You need to fill it with information so that it can respond back to you. Once that piece is done, you're going to find that a CRM is a truly critical piece of your sales enablement program. And I'm not just saying that because I sell a CRM system, although, All right, so here's the real crux of this, and this is how you actually develop your sales enablement process. Because while sales enablement is a great process, it's not just a plug-and-play thing. There is a little bit of work that's involved on the front end, right? We talked about the meetings between sales and marketing, and there's probably going to be quite a few of them. But we're going to walk you through that here, and I'm happy to tell you more if you still have questions. If you do, drop down in the comments and just let us know. The first order of business here is to make sales enablement a reality in your organization, is making sure that your company culture can actually support it. The process has a lot of moving parts, and it needs buy-in from everyone. And if your company doesn't currently embrace collaboration or highly regard the fruits of cooperation, well, this is when you need to start working on that first and foremost. As I mentioned, both sales and marketing are going to end up owning this process, and they are going to need support. They're going to need alignment. They're going to need buy-in. They're going to need endorsement. Whatever you want to call it, you need everybody to be on the same page. Next, you're going to need a leader who can actually manage and motivate those two teams. Again, I say teams. I like to make sure, I always prefer to have one or two people from each function, right? One or two people from sales, one or two people from marketing. Or if you're small enough, you can have just one person, whatever the case may be. But don't make the room too big, because this process can be a shift in paradigm for your teams. Having an advocate is going to help you build trust. Having somebody at the top is going to help you actually manage that. Everyone's going to need support, so a strong leader who can bring together groups and drive the process forward is also going to be necessary. Obviously, sales and marketing are ultimately going to own the process, but a solid leader in the beginning is going to help to actually kind of create that alignment in the beginning and in those early days and keep it moving along the way. Additionally, this person does need to be the one to steer the ship. So VP Sales and Marketing, CEO, whatever the role is, they need to be the one the one leading this, really. You're going to want to schedule a few meetings. Like I said before, this isn't going to happen all in one day, right? But bring your new sales enablement team, your sales and marketing teams, bring them together, as you're going to have some things to agree on. Start by fully defining the process, including the company's why and assigning duties and responsibilities to the different things. We've talked a lot about the process today, but you're going to need to define it in terms that your team is going to understand. So be prepared to answer questions, obviously. Additionally, now is the time to decide how the teams are going to communicate, how they're going to be rewarded, and very specifically clarify the entire process so there is no ambiguity or confusion in what they're doing. When this series of meetings is over, everyone should be 100% clear on the how, why, and the what. Of course, one last thing that you're going to need to put together is very clear KPIs for the project. How are you actually measuring success? Maybe even more importantly, how are you going to measure when something needs to be changed, right? How are you going to identify when things just aren't hitting their KPIs? It's not as simple as sending a new client and job is done now. There are nuances in content, nuances in interactions, and you're all going to have to pay attention to this. Now, once you have these critical factors in hand, now it's time to put your CRM to work for you. You're likely going to have to spend some time setting up the CRM so that you can eventually just press play. For example, with Mission Suite, we can design the entire customer journey with your information and your input, and this journey can and oftentimes will be changed as you collect information. I always tell new clients that the way that you set up your CRM today is probably not the way you're going to want your CRM to look in 6 months. That's okay. That's what's supposed to happen, because as you're learning more about the insights that CRM provides, you're going to get better information. You're going to be more effective in using it. So use it. Also, this is a great idea to leave time for tests, tweaks, and reboots, right? Again, it's never going to be perfect right out of the gate. Even after you have better data, different information, sales enablement is really more of a living thing, and it's not just a set it and forget it type of an operation. So plan for that. So that, in its broadest sense, is sales enablement. It's not super terribly complicated, but there are some steps that you're going to want to be prepared for. Now, trust me, I can dive into more nuances and more details and more this and more that than you can imagine. I'm not going to, though, because at the end of the day, what I just described to you is what you need from a sales enablement process to get started. One of the critical things about sales enablement is that it can be used for big teams, tiny teams, or teams of just one person. So don't blow this off thinking that I can't afford it or this is too complicated. In fact, a well-managed sales enablement process is going to save you money and can make some of your sales marketing less complicated. And if you're a solo operator, then this is going to be even more important for you because this process is going to save you time and it's going to help you make more money faster. Now, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, maybe give it a share so that other people can see it too. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you're notified every time that we post new videos. And while you're at it, check out these videos on your screen, and we will see you next time around. Cheers.